Hi everyone, it's Chelle from Chelle Crochet. Welcome to my November 2024 crochet podcast. As usual, let's talk whips and finished objects. Hi everyone, it's Chelle. How are you today? I hope you're all doing well. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving for everyone who is celebrating in the United States. And it's the holiday season officially, right? We've done our decorating here. I like to make the most of it. It's a lot of work, so I might as well have it around for a long time and enjoy it. And so that's taken up some time in the month of November. We also did Autumnmas with my dad's side of the family, and it was great. We had a good time. And you'll notice that there's not very many little people behind me like there has been over the last couple of videos. I decided to take a project bag with me and fill it with all of my little minis. And there was a frog and a stingray, a few emotional support chickens, and an octo or two, and a couple mini monsters. And for the most part, all of them were gone. So everyone just stuck their hand in the bag and came out with a prize, so to speak. And it worked out great. There was a little bit of trading, but then I forgot the bag there, and I had three, I think chickens were left. And so those stayed at my dad's, and I told them to feel free to share the chickens with their friends and to hang on to that bag for me, and I will get it from them at a later date. So also been busy getting ready. Gonna drop up my mom's Christmas gifts on December 1st, which is gonna be this Sunday, and some stuff for hubby as well. And then the crochet, of course. So let's get into it. Let's go back in time and see what the first clip I have is. Hello everyone. I just thought I would show you some of my first finished objects for the month of November. On Monday, November the 4th, Jayda had been revisiting one of her coaster patterns, and that inspired me to try some snowflake-ish looking coasters that will be part of my mom's 12 days. It goes nicely with a placemat I got her. And I used some Premier cotton yarn for the first time. I don't generally get the Premier yarn in Canada, but I found some on sale at Mary Maxim. So I got some in some neutrals, and white was one of them. And I'm not loving the stitch definition compared to some other yarns that I am more accustomed to using cotton-wise. So I think I might put that to the test a little bit in the month of November and see what other Christmassy type things I need to get done in cotton and just see. One of the ones I want to try for sure is I did purchase some Lion brand 24/7 cotton for the first time in red. So I definitely will make myself something in that later this month to check out how different it is. And yeah, I just have some other regular cottons kicking around, so I will see. Anyway, I just thought I'd give you that little update. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. So making use of some of the Christmas and July work I did, and using up some of the Santa sacks for gifts. This one was already packed away, but I'm just grabbing it out to show you. It's going to be a set of 8 coasters, and the white ones I've already shown you. Those were the Premier home cotton, I think they call it. So I'm just going to show you the red, and I think, and this is Red Heart Scrubby Smoothie. So I got this from Hirschner's probably about 4 years ago. We never got access to the Scrubby Smoothie here in Canada at Michael's or any place like that. The Scrubby, yes, but not the smoothie part. But even just this cotton, it's going to blow the red out a bit. I feel like the stitch definition worked out better than it does with the Premier for some reason, and I don't know why. The only difference is the Premier has a little bit of polyester in it, right? But so I just like to do some wing it coaster patterns so that I get different shapes, because snowflakes are supposed to be all different. This is going to be easy on the black, right? And then here's the white ones you saw in the clip. So this is going to be for my brother-in-law's mother, actually. I decided not to give these white coasters to my mom after all. I've got plenty of things for her. So it makes a nice little gift. And I'm going to talk about something I just recently finished, because why not? There is one clip here. Let's look at this. Hello everyone. 'Tis the season. I am working on some solid red table decor in some Lion brand 24/7 cotton and a 4mm Clover Moore crochet hook, and it's coming along. And I do these freeform, which is fun, but also can be maddening at the same time because there's no particular stitch count that I'm following. I'm just making sure that my work lays flat. So on some of these longer rounds, one of the things I like to do is repeat my patterns. So on this last round here, pretty much everywhere I was going, I was doing single crochet, chain 3. So like right there, there's a single crochet, chain 3, single crochet. There's another chain 3 and a single crochet and a chain 3 and a single crochet, chain 3, single crochet. And I just had an ability to repeat that pattern and know it was still going to lie flat. I want it to lie flat. I don't want it to turn at all, but I don't want it to get floppy or ripply. So we are doing well. This would block out probably at least an inch, but given that it gets used pretty frequently on the Lazy Susan, I'm gonna go a bit more and hopefully finish it off in the next couple of days. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. So I did something a little bit different. I'm gonna pop up a picture here. I actually decided to mold the mandala to the Lazy Susan this time. When I was working on it, I thought to myself, there's no reason I couldn't let this turn the way you would bring up a hat. So kind of let it go down in size a little bit and hold on to the edges of the Lazy Susan. So that worked out quite well. So I'm happy with that. I think it'll be easier because they get washed and dried and hubby's in charge of laundry because laundry's downstairs. And so I think if I do them this way from now on, I won't have to worry so much about the cotton shrinking and it not fitting my Lazy Susan. So it will pull it back into shape, if you will, because they can go on the Lazy Susan and dry and like naturally block almost. So anyway, I was happy with that choice. There's another picture here. This is just like an extra large coaster that I like to make for my Brita, so the Brita's not sitting on the glass table. And then we have a peanut jar that's always on our table, but this time of year it's actually a snowman. So I made a little bit of a bigger one. It shows so easily on the block. I'm just gonna put it on me. And then I made 3 different coaster patterns, 2 of each. So first of all, just a V-stitch granny that ends in regular granny stitch on the outside, which I thought was kind of cute. And then I made a circular pattern with open work in the center and then double crochets all around. And then for the very last row, I just did single chain, and it makes it a little bit wobbly because it's extra stitches in a way, but I like the edging it gives it, and it will lay nice and flat, especially once a couple of coffee cups or water glasses have been on it. And then this one was the most fun. I did 2 of these, and they are I'm gonna pop a picture up here. They are I'm gonna hold this nice and close for you. It's a modified version of Jayda's Poinsettia and sunflower pattern, I believe. So the picture should be on the screen for you there. And it's, I modified my increases so that I would end up with a stitch count that I could still work those little peaks over, and I got 8 of the peaks that way. So this part is still very similar to how Jayda does it on hers. The whole thing is really, I just made it smaller. So anyway, it's cute, and it's not really that difficult to figure out how to do something like that with that pattern because there's so much information in the existing pattern already. They look like little poinsettias. This was my first time working with the Line Brand 24/7 cotton, and it was interesting because it's actually quite rough feeling. Like I was expecting it to be a softer cotton. It's not a softer cotton, it's just very different feeling. It's kind of ropey, and I can see how it will last and hold up much better over time. So for that part, it's worth it, and the stitch definition is excellent. So very happy with that, and I think it was a very good decision I made when I was ordering it for the first time on sale at Mary Maxim in the summertime. I almost bought a wearable quantity, and I'm really happy I didn't because it's sort of a dense feeling cotton. So I think it's perfect for something like this, and I really am interested to see how it holds up over time because I think it's going to do a lot better than Handicrafter. All right, I got another clip for you. I think it's about, or it might start with cozy sets and end with Amigurumi. Let's have a look. Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, November the 7th, and I'm coming on with a little bit of an update. I made this V-stitch cowl using Premier Puzzle yarn, and I already had a hat made, so this will now be a set to go off to the Shoebox charities for somebody. What I also did was pull out all of the singles I had, and I had a few more than I thought. So I'm gonna be having fun making I think a lot of hats and a few cowls to go with for the rest of the month of November, to make sure I get lots of sets done this month for Shoebox Charities. And what else is under this little pile here? Another little mini monster. I just took out this little nugget of yarn because this is the last little bit of the full skein of Bernat blanket that I've been making a lot of the monsters with. Monsters, chickens, octo. So yeah, I got several items out of one ball of blanket yarn, and I'm enjoying making the littles. Most of the littles got distributed amongst the fam at our autumn mist last weekend. I also finally made use of a little bit of this Mainstays yarn. That's the thicker than blanket yarn version, and it's for this little guy. I had purchased this little bear. You can see that it's made out of like wood type material, so that's really kind of neat and a different type of material than you would think of for a Christmas ornament or Christmas decor item. But I thought they were really interesting when I saw them on clearance last year after Boxing Day. So I made him a little hat. So I just used a little bit of soft worsted yarn and made a regular little hat there, and seamed up the top, and then I added a tiny little bit of that white yarn and turned it into a little pom-pom. And that is going to be part of my mom's 12 Days of Christmas. So I have to hope that she doesn't watch these. I'm pretty sure she doesn't watch them unless prompted, so we should be safe. And other than a few granny squares, that's what I've been up to in the first week of November. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. So I really wanted to have a couple because I didn't have any left on my couch. So I started off with this little guy. He's so cute, and it's the last part of the, well, both of them actually are the last part of that one skein of Bernat blanket that I got. It has like Zesty Teal or something in the name of it. And I just watched one of Rose from Rose Likes Crochet's videos too, where she had a skein, and it was the weirdest yarn because it had the gray and the yellow. It had the aqua and the yellow, and then it had this teal. We'll get back to him in a second. But it's great for Amigurumi for my purposes because I'm making all these little guys, and you get to have all these different looking ones, right, over time. So maybe I'll put up the other picture too so you can see how the other chickens looked. But so at least I have one left. Whether he stays with me or not is going to be up for debate, I suppose. And then we have this little guy. And I'm going to show it to you backwards. Normally I would want to show it to you without the hat on first, but I'll never get the hat back on. It's just tacked down for now. So we'll see. But anyway, it's another little mini monster. And I just did him like that with his arms and legs sticking out from the same place and one eye and a little mouth. And I made a little hat. My sister was joking around about decorating and how when you decorate from Christmas, what you're going to do with all the little guys. They need to be festive as well. And I'm like, well, I can't pull that off, but I can make her one more and give it a little hat. So she knows that this guy's coming. And I think she named her other ones. I'll pop up a picture here because she sent me the picture. Spewy, Louie, and Dewey. So now I told her she has Bluey as well. So this will go to my sister for sure. And I have this guy to live here right now. All right, so what else was in that clip? I think it was some cozy sets, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And for the Amis, all the patterns will be linked in the description box below, and they were last month too when we talked about more of them. Here's a clip for you about the Loaf Cat. Hey everyone, today is Friday, November the 15th, and I have another finished object. Oh my goodness. Look at this adorbs. My first Loaf Cat. Thanks so much to Ella at No Catchy Name for the fabulous tutorial. I'm going to zoom in. He's got some sparkly eyes. They're very similar color to his color. And I used up the rest of that sparkle yarn that I made my niece's pillow and her emotional support chicken out of. I have given him a variegated gray body because I knew I wasn't going to have enough yarn. And actually hubby helped me decide whether to use that or a more similar salmony tone that I had that was not glitter. And so rather than too much the same, we went with different, and I'm super pleased with him. And for my first try, not too bad. Used a safety nose there. And this is some dark gray blanket yarn as well. But I am pretty pleased with him for a first try. So here's the Loaf Cat. It's my first one. Thanks to Ella at No Catchy Name. Isn't he adorable? I took a little bit of liberties that I wouldn't take again. I'll just follow her pattern properly the next time I make one. And there's gray in him because I didn't have enough yarn. And I think I said that in the clip, but this is the rest of that sparkle yarn that my niece now has a pillow cover for like a regular couch pillow. And then she has the chicken. I'll pop a picture here of that chicken that she took. And then this guy. So this will be part of her Christmas gift. And yeah, it worked out great. And they're everywhere and there's lots of tutorials and I'm sure lots of you are already making them. So I was happy to jump on board for one try of my own. All right, let's see what was next. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday, November the 11th, and I'm working on my Granny's Magical Cupboard squares today. Here is my joining color, Karen 1 pound in the colorway Hosta. And I have been spending a little bit of time over the weekend on and off going around the squares. I have some regrets about this project. I put a round of single crochet on all my squares as I made them. And by the time I realized I didn't want to do that, I was at least 6 months in, so I wasn't going to stop that. But they're also different that I wish I had just kind of left them the way they were and made a decision once I had more squares made, how I wanted to end them. The other decision I made was I put a half double crochet round on top of the single crochet round in the joining color. And I have a variety of number of stitches for whatever reason, and I'm not gonna go back and figure out why at this late date. But I'll just call it my bad. And I'm trying a variety of different things to see how I like it. I also have already started joining, and I probably won't do that for very many of them right now so that I get a better sense of how the color is going to look together. But I did do this one, and I just kind of decided that these all look different enough that they can be in a strip. The last thing I need is more stitches in my corner, so I just decided to make use of the 2 single crochets that created the last corner. So it's a single crochet chain 2, and I went into those and created a chain 1. I'm only chaining 1 on my last round, and into the other single crochet there to see if I like that version better. It's about my 3rd or 4th try in terms of how I'm doing that final row, which won't matter. Like I said before, in the ones I've joined, there's been tons that they don't have the same stitch count. So all I'm doing is making sure that I put a stitch marker at the very end. I do the first few whip stitches into the stitches that line up. So let's just say stitches 1 through 4 on each square. They line up, and then I stretch it to make sure that it's even in terms of where it has to end, and I just put extra whip stitches through whichever one has more stitches. So if one square had, say, 25 half doubles and the other one only had 23, I can work it out over the course of joining it. It's no big deal. Anyway, just a little bit of update on what's going on with this guy, and we'll see how far it gets by the end of the month. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. I had to close the curtain today because it's so bright, and the way that the sun is hitting, it like shoots the sun across the couch. So if you notice the lighting changing at all, the curtain's mostly closed, but the sun is still doing its thing where it's getting brighter and not as bright. But we're working with good old light bulbs today. So you just saw a clip of what's going on with my Granny's Magical Cupboard blanket. I did not do the November square. It was like a base of a mesh stitch, and then you put a whole bunch of doubles in it, and it got like a little thick and kind of undulating. And I had no purpose of having it in a charity blanket. So I don't even know, like at least with the flower one, I tried this square itself just to try the square. I wasn't interested really in trying the square at all. So I actually saw someone on the Facebook group was doing mitered. So I just gave mitered a try. Mitered isn't necessarily the best choice in this blanket because of the colors not changing. It's coming out of a Karen Big Cake the way it comes out, and then I have my separate extra / joining color. But here's the miter square, one of them. There's 2 of them somewhere. I don't know where the other one is right now. It probably hasn't been joined yet, but it's still going to be something nice to go with all these different squares in the blanket. And this is probably the one that I was trying to show on camera before. I think this is the first one I put together, and I ended up putting 2 together. Not as much work happened on blankets this month as I was hoping it would, but that's kind of good because recently the admin lady from Project Linus gave us some new specs for the blankets. So the blankets have gotten a little bit wider and a little bit longer for the teen and tween group. And so I will be able to adjust this to make sure that it's going to be big enough. I'm going to do 4 by 7, so I only have to have 28 squares for that. And I think I only need like 1 or 2 extras after the December square. But I'll have ample border. I can do whatever I want for the border. So I might actually even go around the whole thing with just that like single crochet chain 2 method, so that I can do block stitch around it for as many rows as I want to make sure I have a good width. Yeah, so I'll worry about it that way. I'll show you this. I didn't realize this one was also put together. It's a really great way to hold a roll of squares if you're working on a blanket. I've never done it before, but I put 3 stitch markers on just to hold it together. And it's because it's still able to sit in my basket that way, and it's not gonna come undone. So here's another one. So we have, this is the, I'm on the right side, yeah, that's the Jacob's Ladder, I believe. Is that the Jacob's Ladder? Yeah, that's the Jacob's Ladder square, one of the meshy ones, a regular one that was just me adding. This one was is this my favorite one? Yeah, this is my favorite one. So this is like a granny square, regular, but you do three together in the holes instead, so it's super thick fabric. This is the bobble stitch one, a solid granny, and then this one this is one of the other ones I liked a lot too. This is solid and regular. So that's another strip that's put together. And all I was really doing when I put the strips together is I made sure that the same colors weren't beside each other. And then I tried to like sort of link it up going down. So if the top one had a lot of the darker green, so did the bottom one. Same with these colors. It's hard to show on camera. And then you have something in the middle that's a bit different and doesn't get repeated because it's a strip of 7. And yeah, I got 2 full strips of 7 put together, and then I have all the green done on the ending of all the squares. So we're in much better shape for that blanket going forward, and December is going to be blanket month. I might as well talk about that now. There's no particular order, right? I like doing scrap gans in the month of December as kind of my own Advent project. So I don't need any blankets for me right now. And I did not get any work done on the Mile a Minute at all in November. And I got a little bit of work done on my granny square blanket. So I'm going to focus on those 2 blankets and this blanket in the month of December and try to get them all finished up and put together. It should be fairly easy work. It's not a lot of thinking on any of them. This one may be the most. And yeah, so I will have to pick my, I'll have to strategize a little because on the Mile a Minute, it's black. Mostly I have to do on that. The work is going to be with black yarn. And so daytime as much as I can. And then with the granny square blanket, which I'll be showing you a bit of in a minute, it's like a charcoal gray going on the squares after, but I have both to do on that. I have some more squares to make. And then I also have a lot of charcoal work to do on that blanket. So I was trying to put that roll back together. I was like, why am I doing that on camera? I'll just do it after. So let's talk about that one now. I don't think there was any clips of this. So I guess I moved these ones to the front. So these guys all got their black borders. This one I made. I hadn't made this before, and actually this it's a spring green Bernat premium yarn. It didn't make 2, so I only got 1 out of that. So I've adjusted my coloring a little bit, and then this and this and this and this. So how many do we have there? Oh, there should be a cream. Yeah, cream is here, and navy blue. So for the middle stripe, I'm going to pop up that layout I have. The middle row is going to be the squares I only had enough yarn to make 1 of. So I have the majority of those trimmed, which is these ones here. And I have a few lights so I can alternate the colors. This one is one, so this is another light one. And then I have a navy. Now this one I could have done more of, but this is a brand new skein of Red Heart Comfort that I got on clearance ages ago. So I just wanted the navy because I have the gold and the green and these deep colors, and I just thought it would work out nicely. So that is my middle row, although some of it needs to be trimmed. So this one did get made, and so did this one this month. And then these guys got their trim. And then I have another color that got 2 that I wasn't even planning to use in this blanket, and I really like it. This came from last month's blanket. This is Bernat Premium in teal. It's a very, very pretty color. And there's just, I guess, just not as much green undertone as some teals would have. But anyway, these 2 got made and trimmed. rather than talking all about color. And then I think these 3 got made. I know these 3 got made because thanks to Crystal, they got made while we were chatting on FaceTime. And so that's pretty much what I got done for the granny square blanket this month. So I made what? 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares, and I trimmed a bunch. And I've got a bunch in the bucket that I showed you last month, so no need to pull those back out. And I will continue to work on my trim and then hopefully get that put together in December. This one's going to be pretty easy to get my measurements on because the squares are 9 inches before the border. So I'm already at 45 inches going this way, and I think I need 50 minimum, so I'll be fine with those. Let's look at my most recent magic ball / magic cake. Hello everyone. I am just about to wind up some more scraps into this magic ball, and so I don't mind doing this more than once. So I've started this one, and rather than abandon it or call it done, I'm going to start it over, and I'm actually going to start with this little chunk of almost royal blue in the middle, and then I'm going to wind off this cake, and I'll see where these go. So variety of sizes here, the smallest, next, and last. And I don't think I have anything else I can put in here right now because I'm not putting any of my variegated scraps in, and I'm not putting anything that's thin like Premier Anti-Pilling or soft worsted. And what I am going to do with this is a C2C scrap GAN. So I don't need to have all tiny little scraps in this. I don't mind having thicker bands in the C2C as you get to the wider part. And there's plenty that are small enough that it will start it off with some nice small color changes in the corner, and we can go from there. So it will be partially like a mystery ball, if you will, corner to corner blanket at some point, but I'll be using regular scrap acrylic in it as well when I get to it. All right, so we're gonna wind these up, and then I'll show you how it looks. She's all done for now. This is basically as much as I can cake up on this winder. And yeah, like I said, one day this will start to become a C2C scrap blanket. Scrap and stash blanket. Back to regularly scheduled programming. Funny story time. We were getting organized, but I needed a couple of things from the dollar store, and I said to hubby, you know, I've been using quite a bit of my polyester fiber fill lately. When you're at the dollar store, can you grab me a couple pillows? Because I just like grabbing a pillow from the dollar store and then using the contents. This actually started because I got a set of pillows for our bed that we just didn't like, and they weren't super expensive. And for the amount that it was way cheaper than buying it at Michael's. So I just kept the filling of those pillows, and I've been using it up. Well, like I told you last time, a lot of stuff has kind of gotten organized and put away because of moving potentially at some point, if the universe agrees to let us. And of course, there was a huge bag of stuffing downstairs that I forgot all about. So anyway, I had a couple of extra pillows from the dollar store. They were cheap pillows, so it's not any big concern. But what I did was I grabbed my granny square bag that I made way back, and I put a pillow in it. So it's not going to be with us right now because it's Christmas time, but I'm just going to use it as like a couch pillow instead of just having it sit in my closet not being used because I don't need an extra purse right now. I just stuffed it, and it already had this one red button, so I just added 2 more, and that way I get to see all my beautiful granny squares and not have it tucked away hanging in a closet. So that worked out. It was a quick little make considering it was already a purse. I took off the handle and put a couple of buttons on and stuck a pillow in there. So happy with that decision. It's so bright and cheerful, and I love seeing all those squares because it reminds me how much I love the granny square yarn. Let's talk about some cozy sets. So I had completed 7 additional sets to what was first shift off, which brings me to a total of 35. And I've let the lady know that I'm going to be dropping off the rest of my sets this weekend. I don't think I'm going to make it to 50, but let's see what we got to. Hello everyone. So doing some organization, I wanted to go through all my hats and scarves that do not have mates so that I could make a mate and then be able to donate it to the Shoebox charity by the end of November. And that created a request for hubby to go downstairs and grab me some yarn. And what I had him grab me was my tote that has mostly my sparkle yarn in it. So the ones I pulled out so far, I have one that's actually too small for an adult, so that just got a pom-pom for now. But the ones that needed pom-poms got their pom-poms, and now I have strategically pulled out some different yarn to be able to make a solid color. If I have a variegated hat going on, usually I'll make a solid color beanie. So this one's just gonna get a light colored sparkle yarn, and it's gonna just have a lot of different purples going on in it by the time it's done. Hopefully you'll see it done soon. And here's one of the ones I have ready to get going on. So this is an old Caron Skinny Cake. So it's not as bright as in here as it was a little bit ago. So there's less shadow, thankfully. Yeah, and I just pulled out some sparkle that has actual gold sparkle in it. So I'm gonna make a hat with that, and those will go together. So there's a bunch of those that's gonna happen over the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks maybe, and you'll be able to see them now for you. Back to regularly scheduled programming. I think I remember what the clips were. It was when I was organizing my stash of pre-made hats and cowls that I just needed partners for. So blast from the past. This is the Ode to Elspeth scarf I made when Krista at the Secret Yarnery was making her Elspeth scarf in the summer. So this one needed a partner, and I'll stick that on me for a quick sec. And I trimmed a scarf with Bernat Super Value in white that had been gifted to me a long time ago, and I'm finally on my last skein. I guess I have half a skein of white left, but I wanted to use white sparkle, and the problem was the white sparkle was too creamy white compared to the white in this. And I think especially because all the different whites that trim the squares, they run more cool tones than warm tones, so it was standing out enough to me that it bugged me. So I just decided to do regular white, and I think it's gonna go great for this person. And actually remember now, I put a button on this because I have a pom-pom somewhere, and I let hubby put this in the jar just to relax it a little bit, and I have to find the pom-pom. Anyway, I have a fun pom-pom that has a bunch of these colors in it, like pinks and light blues and purples and stuff. That's gonna go really great with this hat. So I just have to stick that on there, and there's one set. This one I struggled with. I've had this hat for a while, and it's so nice and warm and cozy. This was like a one skein wonder from a Michael's grab bag that I had ages ago. And this yarn is nice and soft. And I know it's an older hat as well because it actually has a seam. So it was before I started doing everything in the spiral. But it's super warm and cozy. Great pom-pom for it, I thought. But a lot of the trouble I was having trying to use gray is that this gray that's in here has a mild undertone of black, not white. And the grays that I had that were kind of heathered had a white undertone. So it kind of didn't look the greatest. So I grabbed some chunky speckled black yarn. And I thought that these two will make a great set. So hard to see because I'm wearing black, but I think they look good together. There's enough going on in the pom-pom and the hat that the cowl is going to be fine. And because this was such thick yarn, this is a size 6 yarn, I just mainly did a little bit of single crochet and half double crochet with a huge hook. I think I used my 15mm hook on this. And yeah, so this is going to be great. A little too warm for me to put it on right now, but yeah, and you won't see much anyway because you can see it's black on black, right? So anyway, this was fun. I was glad that I came up with that at the after struggling to find a partner, and that will be a super cozy one for somebody. So initially I had partnered this plain hat with the scarf you're going to see next, but I decided because I made a cowl to go with another hat that these actually went better together as a plain set. So I made this cowl. It's so soft when you stick this Bernat Premium Sparkle in the dryer for a couple of minutes. It so changes it. And that's going to be a cute set, and the pom-pom's different enough that it still looks great. So this one, I didn't do my normal V-stitch. I did an actual Drunken Granny cowl, and then did some shell stitches at the bottom, and then there's a lot of more closed work up at the top of the neck, so that'll be nice and cozy as well. So what are we at there? That's number 3. So on that one, the hat was done and the cowl was made. And then this is the one that I actually changed around. So again, this must be, oh, I think I know what I did on this. This one, I used a purple yarn that's very like light denim in tones. I held it together with 2 other purples. So it's with the dark here with a lighter lilac-y color and then back to a darker color, and put this nice bright purple pom-pom on the hat. So there's a bunch of purples going on there. And I thought that this one actually went better with this multi triangle scarf that I made out of the sparkle yarn because the purple at the bottom is in this family more. We switched it up. Hubby helps me pick out the partners and which ones go best together. And it wasn't until after the other ones were made that we decided to put these two together instead. So this one will be nice as well. And there's like a very ample triangle scarf there for somebody. They're gonna have a little bit of brightness. And like I said too, like, you know, these are going to charity. I'm sure they will be very well loved to have something handmade gifted to them, but they'll do whatever they want, right? They might not necessarily wear them together, and that's perfect, right? There's fibers flying everywhere. So that is 4 sets. So I've had this corner to corner triangle scarf tucked away for quite a while, and it is made with Caron Skinny Cakes. It's trimmed with a little bit of the Glam Striped Sparkle, and I had a tiny little nugget left of that same yarn, and I held it together with some Burn Up Premium Sparkle with gold in it, and I think it looks really pretty, and it's got that nice pom-pom on the top. The hat's extra warm, so you know, double-stranded, extra warm, and there's enough to tie them together that they make a cute little set. Feeling this though, I have to get Chris to stick this one in the dryer. So that's the thing. I'll put the pom-poms on, and then I remember I need him to put them in the dryer to relax them a little bit. And I have to do that before we send them over. This one was a bit tricky too. The hat is very grape purple, and the dark purple I have is darker than grape. It's like eggplant. So I held it together with a Mary Maxim medium purple, and I think that it pulls it off. So it makes them not look too different to go together. The dark helps this go, and the light helps this not look like they're different colors. So this is a chunky hat. This is probably, what's that yarn called? Bernat Softy Chunky, and it's also probably from a grab bag. Some of these hats had been around for a while, and rather than just keep them here in case somebody needed a hat, I decided to use them in my charity sets. So the cowl is the V-stitch cowl held double, and yeah. This one, the hat was done. This is puzzle yarn, so soft once it's been in the dryer, and the cowl needs to join it. Well, actually he did it. This is super soft as well. And I think this one is the first one. It was in the clip with these guys here, the Amis, right? So this is how the V-stitch cowl looks. And that's a nice set for somebody, nice and warm, easy peasy. And actually, I do have some puzzle yarn right beside me that I'm hoping to get a couple more sets out of before we go over on Sunday. And we'll see how that goes. I'm not gonna pressure myself because I think I've done really well this year, but you know, 50 was just a ballpark number, but it's gone pretty well. Now I have to keep in mind though, that it's gone well because some of the things were previously made. Now, some of those things that were previously made were still made this year, but I'll have to, you know, maybe adjust my thinking for next year. I think 50 is a lot to be able to do in 1 year to donate to a charity when it's all done just crocheted by hand. This is another one that was Red Heart Sparkle, and this was done, I think, at the very beginning of this year. My mom my mom gave me the Red Heart Sparkles for Christmas. And I think this year she gave me some for my birthday. So I don't know, maybe I'll get to use some sparkle yarn in December as well. And this one was fine to use the sparkle white with. So this is a very slouchy hat. This is a granny square that I turned into a hat. And it's very slouchy. But then what I did was I tightened the brim. If I hadn't tightened the brim because I wanted, it fit me great. I always say I love my hats really big and loose, and I like to plop them on my head rather than pull them down unless it's for, you know, I'm freezing. Most of the time I'm just wearing them for something a little bit extra, and I don't need them super warm, so I plop them at the back of my head. But I tightened this brim up a lot because I wanted it not to be too big on somebody else, and it still would be a very nice slouchy hat. You can kind of get the idea from there. So I can't put it on, unfortunately, but it's a nice set with these different granny squares that I made from these cakes. All right, so let's move on to the elephant in the room. Here are some clips. Good morning, everybody. Today is Tuesday, November the 19th, and I am about to start putting together a sweater for my mom. So here is the t-shirt. Size small t-shirt there. Have it laid out in front of me, and I already had 15 of these squares we've been talking about on and off for a while. So I just thought I would lay the two out in the front just so you can see. 2 panels, sorry. So I got 2 panels of 3. So that will be my front. There we go. So it's easier for you to see it there. So you can see that with just these 6 squares, I'm getting a fairly decent coverage on the t-shirt, and I have to have an opening for the neck. I plan to have trim here, and the panel at the back is going to be 3. So if I went to put a third row here, you can see how they would be overlapping even if I was to like sort of move them. So basically what's going to happen now, if we can pretend we're looking at the back of the t-shirt, some of this outside on both side panels, it's going to wrap around and create the sides. So as I join it together, I'm just going to be adding extra gray where I think it's needed. And then definitely there's going to be a lot at the top to create the neck and start the collar shaping. And then the sleeves are going to be in gray. So I just pulled that out for you. You can see it on the squares, but that's my gray. It's a nice deep gray color. And I'm pretty sure at Michael's they still were just calling it gray. But that's the soft classic yarn. And then the granny squares are of course the Red Heart all-in-one granny square soft white shadow. So I have been looking on and off to get my mom something cozy to go with some of her 12 days stuff, and I wasn't happy with what I was finding, so I decided to take matters into my own hands and make her something. So it's going to be very casual. Hopefully I can do some ribbing. I have one whole other skein of this, and we will go on from there. Hey everyone. So it's the next day and good progress. So that is the sweater. I've crocheted together. I prefer crocheting garments together because I like knowing which side is the good side and which side is the not so good side. And I use my single crochet join to show me that. I'll zoom in a little bit more in a sec, but this is the small size t-shirt underneath the sweater. And this is the front panel, and I'm going to flip them up and remove the t-shirt so you can see the back panel. You'll get to see the good side of the back panel. And just going to come in a little closer so you can see my seam here, and here, and here, and here, and got some extra rows already. So my next priority is going to be the sleeves, which are going to be this solid gray color. And after the sleeves are done, I'll be able to go around and do a little bit more trim work. So one sec, we'll flip that forward so you can just see that underneath the t-shirt, we got some more. So I added more gray just to give it a nice cozy feel for her. And yeah, I think it's gonna work out great. So I have just started my sleeves, and immediately, obviously, you're needing to do some kind of a decrease. So my standard way of decreasing with grannies is to get rid of those chains in between. I have taken out those chains, and now I'm going to go down from a 6.5 to a 6, and I'm going to sort of keep track of when I have to do my decreases so that when it's time to do sleeve number 2, I have it all documented. Hey everyone. So the sleeves are just about finished, and I actually didn't do any decreases on the sleeve. I went from the measurement I chose for her arm opening, and I have, you know, all her measurements from before the other sweaters I've made her. And in order to keep this fabric nice and dense, because it is granny stitch, so there's holes in it, and I want this to be cozy, I just went down my hook sizes. So 6.5 is what I used to do all of the joining for the sweater. So 6.5 is what I started with in terms of the sleeve. And then only for one row when I took out the chains. And after the 6.5, I went straight to the 6. So you'll see that there's a lot of rows there that were all the 6. I think it's around 14 or 16. And then when I get to that green stitch marker is when I start using the 5.5. And that, I believe that was for 10 rows. And then I went to my 5mm hook here, and it was easy to line them up, and it was nice and dense. And then as I get to the actual cuff area, which is where I'm at right now, instead of having my 3 double crochet shells, I went 2 rounds where I did 3, 2, 3, 2. So I started to finally remove some stitches, and then I did 3 rounds where I did just 2 double crochets. And then after that, I did a round of double crochets so that I could start my
post stitches. And there's, I believe, 4 rows of post stitches and then a final row of single crochet. So it'll be a nice long sleeve for her, and it's tightened in at the wrist quite a bit, but I just kept my stitch count the same throughout, and I did my decreasing by going down hook sizes. And I will say one thing about this though. This was in mind because it's a winter-ish sweater that I wanted her to feel warm in. So the opposite strategy would be true if you were making a summer cardigan and you want it to be loosey-goosey. You could actually use bigger hooks when you're doing your sleeve, and you'll have gapier holes and make it nice and light for yourself. And you'll also use less yarn. By doing it this way, I was using more yarn because I didn't take any shells out and my stitches were getting more dense and more dense. So I actually have already moved into a 3rd skein of this gray. So between trimming all my grannies, between sewing this whole sweater together and doing extra gray wherever I needed it for the panels, front, back, and the front 2 panels and the back panel, wherever I needed the extra gray. I have used over 2 skeins of this gray, and I'm on my 3rd. And hopefully I will get through the rest of my trim work that I have to do using that skein. So total for a size small granny square sweater will be 3 skeins of this soft classic gray and 1 skein of the all-in-one granny. And of course, if you chose to, you could use your grannies to make your sleeves. That's a whole other thing. Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
So there was a good reason that I didn't get too much blanket work in this month. I did make my mama sweater, and it's right here. But I actually think you saw it better on the clips. But I'm very happy with it. So I'm not going to belabor it too much because I think I gave you lots of information in the clips. But it is 15 of the all-in-one granny squares. And then it's got lots of trim in lots of places. Actually, there's some extra rows laterally on the back, which I thought made it look kind of cool. And I'll get a couple of extra pictures and make sure that they're at the end of the video, which we're almost at the end of the video. Yay! And the sleeves are super dense and super warm because of how I did it. So yeah, hopefully it will keep her extra cozy. And this has been in the dryer, but it really needs her to wear it a bit and then wash it and dry it. And then because of how much fabric there is here, it's not as easy to loosen it up in the dryer the way you can loosen up a hat or a cowl. She needs to wear it and she'll wash and dry, and she's used to working with crochet, so she will, I'm sure, get a lot of use out of this. And I couldn't find a little hoodie or something to go along with it that I liked for her, so I made one instead. And that did take up quite a bit of time. It's very motivating when you have the squares done ahead of time that you get to see it start coming together quickly, but the sleeves were a lot of crochet. So overall, I think it took me about a week to put the whole sweater together. You know, not in isolation. It's not like I didn't do anything else that week crochet wise, but yeah, about a week, about like Monday to Friday sort of thing, to get it all done the way I wanted it. So yeah, that's why I didn't get as much blanket work done as I had hoped in the month of November. So plans for December, like I said, I'm gonna finish up my whips. I'm gonna work on those 3 blankets and get them done. And then if I have extra time on my hands, or as a reward for getting some good momentum going on those projects, and maybe pull out some special yarn like the Roll with It Sparkle I have gotten this year that was gifted to me, and do some fun things with it. So that is my plan for December. I want no pressure. I don't want to feel like I have to get things done. I work ahead for that reason, so that I can have December to let it be what it is, because it's a busy month anyway. So I am going to say happy holidays, enjoy the season, enjoy everything that December has to offer, and I will be back at the end of December, and we'll be talking about Christmas and New Year's, I'm sure. Thanks for spending your time with me. Have a great day and happy crochet. Bye everyone.